I'm good. How are you? Thank you so much for having me on.
Good.
It's so cool to be a part of this.
I'm so excited you're here. I'm I'm just so happy and so thankful that you made time for this pageant. It is near and dear to my heart. This is my pageant, my passion project, or you could say my passion pageant. Girls, here's your homework. Look up this book because Felipe is the author. I don't know if y'all can see my screen right now, but you are so published twice. Of all the people, right, alive today,
Three
you
times, Kendra.
yeah, three times published. Documentary, filmmaker. I don't know if you've logged how many hours you've actually spent in the saddle and how many, like I know you've documented the miles, but I don't know about anybody else alive today that has done what you're doing, and you're still really young. So I'm so excited. Everybody, please make welcome your coach tonight, Felipe Massetti.
No, thank you so much. Such kind words. Just so happy to be here. I think it's an awesome passion pageant. I think it's amazing what you ladies are doing, and you can always count on me. Whatever you need, I'm here to step up and offer a hand, especially when it's such an important initiative such as this one.
Well, we got in pretty deep last night, and it was very freestyle. The girls were introducing themselves and talking about things that they struggled with. And you've spent so much of your time around horses. And I was listening to your TED Talk earlier today, and it was something about when your dream turns into a nightmare, like you get all pumped up. You had this dream and you're like, I'm sure it's going to work out. And realistically, like what happened in a nutshell? Tell these girls a little bit of your story and some of the things that didn't go according to plan.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Brazil. My parents moved to Canada when I was 9 years old. Always grew up around horses and used to tie down rope in the rodeos. And my dad used to ride bulls and broncs, and we've always been very involved with the Western culture. And at the same time, when I was a little kid, my dad used to read a book to me about a Swiss school teacher who in 1925 rode horseback from Buenos Aires in Argentina all the way to New York City. And that book just gave birth to my dream. I remember being a little kid on the family ranch in Brazil, imagining I was that guy, crossing rivers with crocodiles and climbing the Andes and Mexico and the deserts and the jungles. And, as I got older, gradually that dream got stronger and stronger and stronger until in my final year of college, I was like, man, either I do this with my life or I do absolutely nothing. So went online and found the Long Riders Guild, an association that groups together all these equestrian, travelers from back in the day of Charles Darwin was a long rider, Aim Chifley, this fellow that inspired me, and people that are doing it today. So when I was on that website, it's like an association. I was like, oh wow, there's people doing this right now. Like it's not just in 1925. So that really gave me the push I needed. And that's when I started planning my project. I took the dream from inside of Felipe and it became a real project. And it all started with writing it down. At that moment, I didn't realize how important of a step I just taken. But today I realized that that was the first step. There's neurological studies that prove that when you write something down, you are much more likely to live it. We all have dreams, we all have goals and passions, but if you keep them harbored inside of you, chances are you'll never live them. So it's extremely important. I can't tell you enough how important it is to write it down, to see it. The second thing I did, which was instrumental, strategic planning. Today, I see that strategic planning for whatever you do in your life, whether it's this pageant, whether it's a business, whether you're training a horse, you want to be a barrel racer and win a gold buckle or anything. If you don't plan, you're not going to find success. Nothing happens for a reason. It doesn't fall from the sky. God's not going to come down and just hand it to you. You need to plan. That's where it all starts. So I got white Bristol board, glued it all over my wall and started writing it down. First thing I wrote was do not die, the power of words. And then I started writing everything I needed, from the horses to the equipment, pack saddle, riding saddle, tent, everything. I didn't have a single horseshoe to undertake this journey. And 2 years, that's what it took. A lot of no's, a lot of you're crazy, you're going to die, it's impossible. How many times did I hear that? But finally, on July 8th of 2012, I got everything I needed, 2 horses donated from Montana, the pack saddle, the riding saddle, a production company out of Nashville, Tennessee bought the project for me to film a documentary for them. So they would pay me monthly and give me all the cameras. And I departed from the Calgary Stampede. But when you're living a dream, oftentimes it gets romantic when you're thinking about it. Oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be easy. But like we're talking, nightmares are going to come about, and they're going to come about often. It's not going to be a bed of roses. This is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done in your life. And for me, there were so many obstacles. In Montana, we crossed paths with a grizzly bear. I saw 2 people shot dead in Central America, witnessed a man trying to kill his wife. I was staying in their home, had to befriend drug lords, went days without water, felt hunger for the first time in my life, fear, snowstorms, you name it, we faced it. But that's the power of having a purpose. People ask me all the time, did you ever think about quitting? And of course I thought about quitting in those moments, but it was my purpose that kept me going. It was my purpose that made me give 110% when I may not have felt the best, when horses were hurt, when grizzlies were tracking us. So my question to you is, do you know what your purpose is? Do you have it like fresh? Can you answer that? What's your purpose? What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Do you know it? Did you write it down? Are you planning to live that purpose? If you don't know, don't worry about it. Some people are 90 years old and they still don't know. But the importance of soul searching, of meditating, and meditating is not, sitting with your legs crossed and going, it's getting on a horse and going on a long ride. It's going for a jog. It's when you put your head on the pillow at night and having an internal conversation. If you don't know who you are, where you want to get, how are you ever going to get there? If I didn't have my ex on the map when I left Calgary that I had to get to Brazil, I'd still be doing, circles around Calgary. I'd be in Alberta still. I knew physically where I needed to get, and our lives are the same way. So how are you going to get there? Well, by first of all, knowing where you want to get. What is the X on your map? Writing it down, planning, and then executing. And we are the architects of our lives. Today, I'm the youngest person in the world to cross the Americas on horseback. I just won the Western Heritage Award. One of the biggest blessings in my life. I was the marshal of the Calgary Stampede. I was the marshal of Barretos, the largest rodeo in Brazil. I got 3 best-selling books. I got a documentary that has 19 awards. And I met my wife on the back of a horse in Patagonia, asked for help in her house, and stole the farmer's daughters. I've gotten the chance to ride some of the greatest horses in the world, see some of the most beautiful country in the world. But it all started with that first step. No one handed it to me. I worked arduously for all of this, but it is so worth it. Just to wake up in the morning is a huge opportunity, and we tend to forget that and take that for granted. So I try to live every day to my best, not as if it's my last, because I don't know when that's going to be, but just to make it count.
So good. So girls, are you inspired? Drop it in the chat. All right, Filipe, I would be nervous riding my horse to Dallas, and that's only 30 miles. I mean, logistically, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of concrete. There's a lot of traffic. I don't know where to stop and water my horse. You ran out of water for days. That just seems unimaginable. I don't think there's anybody here, drop it in the chat if you have ever been one full day without a drink of water. Probably not.
Yeah. And and that's one of the things that I really value about what I've done. And I try to tell people all the time, you need to leave your comfort zone in order to grow. I really believe in that. A diamond's made under pressure, extreme pressure. If that pressure is not there, it's just another stone. Horses become great horses through repetition. Cowboys and cowgirls, repetition. It's got to be second nature. If you're thinking about it, you're not going to win that rodeo. A lot of professional athletes as well, whatever it is, the profession you do. So I think that by stepping out of your comfort zone, that's when you learn the greatest lessons of your life, and you start to become your own diamond and the best form of yourself. So those days where I didn't have water, I didn't have food, or I was crying in the middle of a desert, not knowing which way I was going or how I was going to get out, that's ultimately what's made me who I am today. Today, I know that my limit is much further than I ever imagined. I know I'm capable of doing whatever I put my mind to and my heart. I know who Filipe truly is, where I want to get. So that's something I really hope all of you get the chance to do. And this is it. You're doing it right now, I think, through this pageant, right? For a lot of you, it may be your first pageant. like you were saying, you're getting out, stepping out of your comfort zone. And no matter what the outcome is, you can be sure of it. You're going to get out of this a much stronger person.
So good. Like you're telling it like it is, reality.
Yes, ma'am.
A lot of us, and I'm sure the girls, y'all chat your questions for Felipe in the chat comment, but how to get started. You said like when you first start dreaming, there's kind of this romance to it, like, man, that's going to be so cool.
Yeah.
Miss Rodeo for a reason is different because you're not required to ride a horse. Not everybody has the opportunity to grow up around horses today, but we're cowgirls and cowboys at heart. We have the love for horses. And I think a lot of times, just for that reason alone, the industry is missing out on very passionate girls who want to represent this lifestyle. So, and we've had some of our former queens that have served from a wheelchair or have had another physical disability that kept them from competing in more traditional type pageants. So I love that Miss Rodeo for a reason is different in so many ways and so many reasons. We don't have a traditional panel of judges. We provide a team of coaches like you being here, Felipe, telling it like it is. How did you get started? So a lot of girls are thinking, yeah, that sounds great, but I don't know who to talk to. I don't know what to say. I don't have the money to live my dream. What did you say when you started seeking financial support to make this dream come true and reach your goal?
So first of all, like what I learned from doing this is that we all have fears, we all have limitations, we all have problems. So right there, put that aside. You can tell me whatever you want. To me, I'm going to look you in the eyes and say, that's an excuse. Not because I read it in a book, not because I watched it in a movie, because I lived it. I'm an immigrant. My mom used to clean houses. My dad used to work construction. I didn't have a single horse to do this. Like, I didn't have a horseshoe, like I said, like I can't say that enough. So anything you say to me, why you're not living your best life, your dream, your purpose, I will look you in the eyes and call bullshit. It's an excuse. Because if you want it with your heart, your soul, your mind, you can do whatever you want. So that's number one. Fear. I think fear is something that really holds people back. Fear is something that kept us safe. It's evolution. We all have it wired inside our brains, right in here. It keeps us safe. When we lived in a cave and we had a fire, and if you stepped out of that cave, you could have been eaten by a mountain lion or a bear. Your mind would tell you, don't go there, stay here, you're safe. Don't go find out if there's better lands across that mountain range. Stay right here, you're safe. So our minds continue to tell us that when you have something that you want to do, like cross the Americas on a horse. My mind told me not to do it. The first thought was, you're crazy, don't do it. Just for me to write it down, I had to put that fear aside. For me to start planning, I had to put that fear aside. For me to start talking to people and asking for sponsorship, I had to put that fear aside. So it's an ongoing battle that we all have. But once you understand how your mind works, you understand why you have these feelings and you learn to control them. You need to control them, just like a horse. You can't ride a green horse. You know what I mean? You have to put it in the round pen and make it turn for, a couple of days, a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months. If it's a super hard horse, then you have to ride it. Then you know what I mean? It takes time. It took me a decade to cross the Americas. It's not going to be from today to tomorrow. It's going to take time, but you have to continue to work on that fear and silence that fear, or you do nothing with your life. And what I realized when I built the project is that no one is going to sponsor me because I'm a nice guy, or because they like me, or because I have this awesome dream. They need to see value in it. So I needed to grab this project. It's like building a bridge. When you build a bridge, you need to convince someone that you need to get to the other side of that river. It's something that doesn't exist. So you need to convince them, why do you need this bridge there? Well, you have to get to the other side. So I needed to convince people that there was money involved in this, because that's how brands respond. I needed to give them something. So for this production company, I was giving them a product, which is this documentary. For the ranches that gave me the horses, it was going to be a huge commercial for them. It took me so long. I traveled so slowly. Every magazine, newspaper, every television station covered the trip. So how cool is it for you to get your horse on all these major networks? That's money to them because it will help them sell horses. So whatever you want to do with your life, that's how you got to think about it. You got to break it down and you got to sell it to people in a way where they're going to gain something from it. And that's how I was able to acquire everything I needed to undertake this journey and live this dream.
This is so good, Felipe. So this is what no one ever told me. Nobody ever really explained the role of holding a rodeo queen title. Like I don't know. I just thought people were doing it because they were nice. Like I needed that carrot, right? I had extremely low self-esteem and zero confidence. So it really pushed me out of my comfort zone. But I needed that buckle or that saddle or, whatever the trophy was to incentivize me to compete and put myself in those uncomfortable situations, like speaking, on camera or on stage. But nobody ever really explained like how to monetize it or what was expected of me in return. I just thought, well, and it kind of still floats around in the pageant world that we're the liaison or we're the representative. We're there to answer questions for the crowd. Well, let's talk about the power of a cowboy hat and the power of being on horseback, what doors that opens up for you. Because I want these girls to understand there's so much opportunity, but like Felipe just said, you have to think of it from both sides. It's not just to benefit you. We want it to benefit you, but it is to benefit the stock contractor who's worked his whole life probably to build his brand in the pro circuit. Yes, we need you to interact with the crowd and make new fans. You don't even have to be at a rodeo. You could be at your local Walmart, promoting the lifestyle and inviting people to get involved. But why? Like, why is this important? And thinking from, like, this is one of my pet peeves, Felipe. There are some pageants today that require their rodeo queen contestants to sell tickets to the rodeo. And that's fine. I think that's wonderful. However, that's part of their score. And sometimes it's a large part of their score. So sometimes it just boils down to whose mom is most committed, take a week off work, knows the most people and sells the most tickets. And that girl ends up winning. And it has nothing to do with her personality, her knowledge of rodeo, or her ability on horseback, or her passion, how much she wants to represent rodeo. So we want to do things different. So thank you for saying that. Girls, you got to think of it from all sides if possible. And we're here to help you see the benefit, your own benefit of getting involved. Felipe, talk about the cowboy hat and being on horseback. What kind of doors did that open for you?
That's everything. If it wasn't for the horse, I wouldn't have obviously ridden one single kilometer, but I would have had no doors open for me. I would have had nothing. This journey taught me that the horse is a common language that brings people together, that breaks down barriers, from the gaucho to the vaquero to the cowboy to the peão in Brazil. We may dress differently. We may wear different shapes of cowboy hats and different styles that ride different styles of horses and different breeds, but we all speak the same language. It's and that's what opened all those doors for me. I got to stay in the home of drug lords. That is a journal. I'm a journalist. I'm in school for journalism. That for me to go into that home and document that, very few people get that opportunity. And I got it thanks to my horses, because they also loved horses. And every door that was open in the Americas, every 20 miles that I was riding, of the more than 16,000 that I rode through 12 countries, it wasn't open because of Felipe. It was open first because of my horses. And then they wanted to help me after they had met the horses and helped the horses. And even people that had never been around horses, you realize that there's a magnetism. We're seeing it with Yellowstone, and we've seen it with Westerns our entire lives. What is it about this that people want to see, that they want to watch? What is the allure? I don't know what the answer is, but I think it's the horse. Because when I was out there crossing the Americas, like, people just came. They'd never seen a horse in their lives. I'm in a Walmart parking lot or crossing Mexico City, the largest city in the world. And whether they were a kid or an old gentleman, or they would come to the horse and they'd want to pet the horse, and they want to know the horse's name, and then ask me what I was doing, what my name is. And to me, I feel like it's an honor to wear a cowboy hat. I wear it everywhere, airports, the mall. Like, I just don't leave the house without my cowboy hat, regardless of where I'm going, because I'm very proud of Western heritage. And the horse has taught me the biggest lessons in my life, you know, working as a team, hard work, not quitting, empathy, my passion for horses, and you know, everything that the person I am today all came from the cowboy hat and horses and this Western lifestyle. So I feel very blessed and try to do my best as an ambassador, I think, and that's what these ladies are going to do as well. They're going to be ambassadors, you know, for us, and I think that with great power comes great responsibility. So you know, we really need to check ourselves and try to represent this as best as possible.
You're doing such a fantastic job. I'm just so proud of you. Every time I open Instagram, there's Felipe. And you're in a like bow tie, you're in a tux, and you're on stage, and you know, you're taking all of us higher. So thank you for that. And I know that that wasn't easy. I know that you had to face fear that most people only talk about. Like we don't really do it. Right? That's just such a tremendous risk that you put forth. And I love how you mentioned train your mind, just like you would put a colt in the round pen. It's going to take time. Train your mind. And you did talk about some serious challenges last night. And I'm thankful that this is a safe place. Girls, if you don't want to talk about things that you're struggling with, that's okay. Don't feel pressured. If you would rather talk about something positive, we're good with that. If you haven't had things fall apart in your life, that's okay too. Like if you've just been extraordinarily blessed and you're making the most of it, we're happy for you. We want to celebrate with you. But talk a little bit, Felipe, about some of the ways you learned your mind was not feeding you accurate information. How did you recognize those moments, and what did you do about it?
So I think a big one for me is strategic planning is a big part of it, because when you are prepared for situations like that, everything gets easier. We go into chaotic mode when we're not prepared, but when you've read about it, when you've talked to someone who's done it, when you've prepared your body and tried to prepare your mind as much as possible, like when my horse Bruiser fell in a hole in New Mexico, it was a very scary moment, and I didn't know what was going to happen. But ultimately, I kept my cool, and I realized that if I freaked out, it wasn't going to help anyone. So I dug the ditch, I wiggled him out, I took the saddle off his back, and then I pulled him out, and we were able to get him out. It took almost 2 hours, but it could have become a lot worse if I had let my mind cheat me at that moment. So all that preparation, I talked to people that had horses get into situations like that in the past. So that ultimately helped me tremendously. Breathing techniques is something I use often. Sometimes I get nervous to go on camera holding a microphone and my hand shakes. Well, guess what? That's your mind response. Again, fear. But you can cheat your mind by breathing, taking deep breaths. Take deep breaths for 30 seconds. I promise you, you will stop shaking. You're putting oxygen in your mind. And that helped me out tremendously a lot as well. But I think the biggest thing is preparation. You know, when you're prepared, when you've done your homework, I think you're able to maintain your cool, stay calm. Like I said, it never helps to lose it and you go into chaos mode. But when you do that, it's because you're not prepared. So I think strategic planning is the biggest one.
Thank you for being transparent and talking about your hand shaking. And
Yes.
girls, a lot of you are going to say, well, I want to prepare, but I don't really know what to do. And you're still going to have those moments. And maybe you're going to go on to enter more pageants, or whoever our new queen is going to be. You're going to be faced with new situations, and it's going to hit you too. We want you to know that that's a normal part of the process. And I think sometimes we get surprised that it's more difficult than we thought it was going to be. And we're like, oh man, I did prepare, but this, I don't think I did very well. Well, it's practice, girls. It's a process. Keep showing up, keep doing it. It is going to get easier the more experience you're willing to have. So don't have false expectations. Don't let it surprise you. Like, well, I did study, but I'm still nervous. Like I did prepare, but I'm still nervous. That's that's part of it, right, Felipe?
Yeah, you're alive. That's a good thing. You know what I mean? You're living. So, and that'll never go in. That just shows that you care. You know what I mean? Like I'm a motivational speaker. I do a lot of talks for 500 people, 10,000 people at times in front of me. I've talked in front of 80,000 people. And even if I'm talking in front of 10 people, I've done this for 10 years now. I still get nervous. I still get the butterflies before I go on the stage. And that's a good thing. It means you care. And, but it's about repetition. It's about doing it over and over again. And you're only going to get better. And it's a journey, it's a journey. There's a lot of parallels, I think, with life and training horses, but it doesn't happen from one day to the next. It's wet saddle blankets, and it's little steps forward. You take one little step forward, done. Take the saddle off, celebrate, because that's amazing. And the next day you take another little step, and then you go back and you might take 6 backwards, but it's okay. That's okay too. It's a learning process. Next time you go out there, you got to stay positive. And I think the other thing is enjoying the journey. The old cliche. It's so true. You got to enjoy every day for what it is. Just being here, doing this talk and exchanging, these lessons and getting to meet y'all. And that's what it's all about. And don't worry too much about the end goal. We tend to sometimes just focus on that, and we want to get there. But when you do that, you end up missing out on the most important part. And if you do that, it can tend to be a negative situation after, because you realize that, so what, now I got a crown in my head, nothing changed. And I never enjoyed, all the girls I was doing this with, and the moments we had and the laughs. That's what it's all about. It wasn't about when I arrived in Bajitos with 40,000 people and they showed me my statue at the age of 27. It was about being in Guatemala with a family that butchered the only chicken they had to feed me that night. It was about being with my horses, Frenchie, Bruiser, and Dude, crossing the Chihuahua Desert. And just, how many people get to do that? How many people have done that? How many people will do that again? It was about listening to them eat hay when I was in my tent at night, or hearing Frenchie snore like a drunk guy at a bar at night. Like, that's what it was all about. And it took me a while to realize that, because I always had that, I got to get there. I got to make this happen. And then I realized that I got there and I didn't grow a third eye. I didn't gain any superpowers. I was still same old Felipe. And the beauty of what I had just done was in the kilometers, that I had traveled, and all the people that I'd met, and all the experiences. So it's in the everyday. So don't forget that.
Lindsay has a question, and I'm going to let her ask it. Lindsay, will you unmute?
Hi.
Hello.
So my question was, if you knew, like, what's one thing you wish you knew before you left onto your journey? Like something like major, like.
That's a good question. One thing I wish I knew before I left my journey. I think I wish I knew how hard the end was going to be. When I finished that journey, that first, because I did it in 3 legs. I rode from Canada to Brazil. And then that was my dream. I was going to end in Brazil, get to Canada to finish off the Americas. But when I ended that first journey, my life fell apart. I went into depression. I had anxiety, reoccurring nightmares, because I didn't know this at the time. And that's why I wish I'd known this. I fought so hard to achieve this, to take the first step of actually undergoing the journey. It took me 2 years to plan it. And then I was on the road for 2 years and a half, and every day just, fighting to get there. Then when I got there, this huge vacuum was created. I lost purpose in my life. I didn't know what I was going to do next. And that's what ultimately put me in that situation of just not being well mentally. And today I value mental health so much. So I wish someone would have told me that, hey, guess what? This is going to be hard, but before you finish this journey, make sure you start planning your next journey, your next purpose. And I don't think I would have gone through such a hard period of my life as I did the 6 months that I finished that first journey. Good question, though.
That's awesome. Thank you.
And what a brilliant answer. Just brilliant. Thank you. That's hardcore life. Like that, right? Girls, if somebody had told me this when I was 14 years old, how much anxiety and sleepless nights and wandering around and chasing my tail in circles and buying too many horses and it not working out, how much could that have saved me? So we're all just so blessed to have you here, Felipe. Thank you.
No, I feel blessed to be here. Thanks for having me.
And thank you for making it okay to talk about mental health. We talked about that back in December, and how, you know, my personal opinion and the team at Stall High, we believe that the mental health of the horse is largely overlooked and undervalued. Everybody's so focused on physical fitness that we're missing not just the value of the mental health for training and getting that horse to his fullest ability, but we're missing how many horses have a poor quality of life right now mentally because of how much pressure we put on them. I don't think the industry is very cognizant of that. We're not very problem aware. Therefore, how could we be solution focused? So that's one thing that we're definitely waving the flag from Stall High to educate people about mental health for horses, and horses mirror us. So that leads us to the next discovery and discussion. What's going on inside our own head? So Felipe, thank you for making it okay to talk about that. And I know you've definitely inspired all of us. Girls, what do you think? Drop it in the chat. We have time for one more question. Who has one more question for Felipe? Super inspiring. Yes, he's amazing. Thank you. Very, very inspiring. My dad always tells me failure to plan is planning to fail.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good one.
Thank you. I'm reading the comments. Astonishing, a truly breathtaking story from Elizabeth Diaz. Very inspiring story and the challenges you overcame. Incredible. I loved hearing his story. Yes, his speech inspires me to slow down. That's good. I think he's amazing. Fear, face everything and rise. Oh, that's good. Face everything and rise, Delaney. True grit. All right. Nobody has a question? Okay, how did the trip affect your mental health afterwards?
Yeah, so like I said, you know, it was twofold. First of all, it was this syndrome that I've now studied and realized that it comes with anyone that you know, fights really hard to achieve anything, whether you're an Olympic athlete or you're an astronaut or you're a long rider. You know, you work so hard to achieve this goal that when you get there, this vacuum is created. You momentarily lose purpose, and you feel very ashamed and like you've done nothing. And so that was part of it. The other part was that you know, I literally went to war. Like I saw 2 people shot dead. I witnessed a guy trying to kill his wife with 5 gunshots. I had to run away from bears and you know, so I had symptoms of PTSD, and ultimately the combination of that is what affected me mentally, and that's why the 6 months after I finished that first journey were extremely hard. I now realize how much of an idiot I was for not talking to anyone about it, but there's so much stigma still to this day, especially with our world. You know, you got to cowboy up, you got to toughen up, just, you know, get through it. And I was just embarrassed to talk to people. I never opened up to anyone. And today I realized how dangerous that was. That's why I love to openly talk to people about it and tell them, if you're going through something, you know, you need help, you need to talk to someone. And guess what? That person you're going to talk to, 95% of chances they've gone through it as well. They might be going through it right now. So you can't go get through moments like this alone. You need to talk to people. You need to open up and ask for help and advice. And today I value mental health so much, especially with horses as well. Like you just put it so beautifully in all the work you guys do through Stall High, you know, and I think, like you said, horses are a mirror of us. And if you're not well mentally, your horse is not going to be well mentally, and vice versa. You know, if your horse is not doing well, you're not going to do well. So yeah, I truly believe in it. We really have to take time to slow it down, like someone said there in the chat, and try to have that internal conversation with ourselves. You know, what makes me happy? You know, what do I want to do with my life? Don't live for other people. I meet a lot of people that wear masks. You know, this life's gonna go by way too quick. You girls are all young, but I can tell you, I'm about to turn 37. I don't know how old I am, but it feels like I'm still 19. And you talk to people that are 90 years old, and they're gonna tell you that life went by, you know, blink of an eye. So make sure you live every day for yourself. Hold the reins to your life. Do what you want to do. Who cares about what people are going to think, what people are going to say about you? if it makes you happy inside, if you feel that fuzzy feeling, those butterflies in your stomach, then go for it, because that's why we're here. You know, we all have a purpose and a journey. And like I said, it's a blessing just to wake up in the morning and open your eyes and take a breath. And we forget that. So make it count and go hard.
So good. You're so inspiring.
Nah,
All
you
right,
are.
girl. Here's one of the 3 books.
Yes.
Okay. So where can they follow you? Where can they find you? I know you've made some lifelong fans tonight. Where
No, thank
can they follow your story and your next journey, your next leg
Yeah.
of the journey?
You can follow me on Instagram. That's where I do most of my stuff, at Filipe Massetti. I'm sure you can drop them the name, the spelling after. And the 3 books are on Amazon. If you like to read or not, people have read this book and said, it's the first book I actually read. You know, people that love horses, there's not a lot of material out there. But yeah, I think you guys are going to enjoy it. And very soon, the documentary, The Long Rider, will be available on all digital platforms for you to rent. So stay tuned, coming out soon.
I'm so proud of you. So proud. And I'm
And I'm
we're
proud of
so
you.
thankful. We're so thankful for your time. So
I'm thankful.
wow.
Thank you so much. And good luck. Good luck to you girls. I can't wait to see who's going to win the
I
pageant. But
know.
you're all
Who's our
winners. Don't forget. You're all winners. You're all winners just to be here. Like I said, this experience, you're going to come out much stronger and better. So thank you so much for having me.
All right, everybody tell Filipe bye.
Bye. God bless
Un-
everyone.
Unmute. Tell him thank
Have a
Bye.
good
Good to see you.
Sunday.
God bless.
Bye.
Yeah, great to
Thank
see you as well.
you.
Bye. Bye,
Thank
girls.
you.
Good luck on Monday morning.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Filipe. All right, girls. Wow. Oh my gosh. He just inspires me so much. He makes me want to, like, not just run to the barn and saddle up a horse and start riding, but he makes me want to be a better person. He makes me want to reach more people. He keeps the fire inside my heart and my mind growing, because he worked so hard to accomplish what he's done. And like he said, he's still really young. So he has a lot more left